Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Podcast, where we help you unlock your potential freedom through land investing, real estate investing, and entrepreneurship.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Real Estate Investing Podcast. My name is Ron Apke. Today, we have a very special guest, Matt Pamphilus, on with us. He's been a very successful student in our community, growing his land business, everything like that. So really excited to kind of hear his story, hear his future goals with land investing, and kind of share it with you guys. Before we get started in the episode, let me go over a quick question from our Discord. This question's from Sarah. What is your typical due diligence time when making a decision on a deal? Really good question, Sarah. And it depends. Like, we have a big team behind us who is helping with due diligence. So right when a deal comes in, a purchase agreement comes in, that is getting worked on, and the due diligence going forward, we have a target of getting back to the seller with 24 hours. So that means we can tell them, like, yes, we're good to go forward with this deal, or no, we need to negotiate on this deal, or maybe just no, we can't do this for X, Y, or Z reason. As someone who's new coming into this, I think you should be making decisions 48 hours, 72 hours. I think 3 business days is very realistic. Getting everything done with that. There are times where it's going to take you longer. Maybe you need drones or boots on the ground, and you cannot make a decision really until that. But I would aim for 72 hours for your bulk of your due diligence. But that's it for the Discord question. Really excited, like I said, to have Matt Pamphilus with us on this show. Matt, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Very happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, Matt's been, how long you been with us, Matt, before we get started?
I started in Q4 of last year, I think around like November.
Okay. So it's between 6 and 12 months, somewhere in that. So you're probably about 9 months or so into this, whatever it is. But let's just start with Matt. What's your background before land flipping? Like, have you always been an entrepreneur? Did you go to college, or when did the entrepreneurship thing kind of start with you?
That's kind of a loaded question. My entrepreneurial journey, if you will, started when I think I was like 6 years old. I sold rocks to my neighbors. Obviously providing no value, just like them supporting me and trying to make money, and then doing like car washes and stuff. And I started a lawn cutting business when I was like 10 until like 16. And then when I was in high school, my dad made me read Rich Dad Poor Dad in conjunction with taking me to a multifamily real estate investing event in Boston that was focused, about apartments and syndications. And seeing that at like 16 or 17 years old was it was like a paradigm shift, reading the book and then going and seeing people and them taking me seriously, having conversations with me and, realizing you could make $100,000 on an acquisition fee for an apartment building. I was like, why would I do a traditional job? So that kind of hooked me in real estate. And then, I didn't really execute on any real estate endeavors until later on. So I graduated high school and I moved down here to Tampa to go to University of Tampa in 2017. I changed my major a few times, but ultimately ended up landing on entrepreneurship. There's an incredible program at UT, University of Tampa, for entrepreneurship. So they've really supported me. While I was in college, I started trying to wholesale just single family houses. And my first marketing strategy with that was bandit signs. So ordered like 300 or 100 bandit signs, and it was $300 or $400. And that was a ton for me as a sophomore in college. I was up like putting those signs in the ground at like 2 or 3 a.m. on a Friday night. I did that for a couple weekends and then got burnt out. Also, like only having gotten like 3 phone calls. Mm-hmm. So that didn't really work out too well. And then I interned for a company who was doing a lot of wholesaling in Baltimore, Maryland, which is where I'm from. One of the partners of that company is now my partner with single family, like wholesaling houses, which I do on the side. But sorry, I'm kind of going in a ton of different directions here, but it'll all lead back. And then I started wholesaling, gaining a little bit of traction, and stumbled upon infill lots. It's kind of an accident, honestly. I didn't properly prepare my marketing for my VA one week. So I just pulled a list of delinquent tax data for land and across like 6 different counties. And we ended up pulling 3 deals out of that list, which was atypical for our marketing efforts at the time. And then I just dove deeper into it, and we flipped like 39 infill lots last year. And then the market kind of dried up, in my opinion. due to interest rates rising and builders, not purchasing as frequently as they previously were. So I was looking for something else. And I probably watched like 30 or 40 of your guys' videos before ever like going forward with like buying the course. But then I ended up buying, the Apke Brothers course. And it's been a bit slower to like get started. Infill lots are like very quick. You can flip a deal within like 30 days. And so it was different from actually taking ownership of a property and then like flipping it. So it was an adjustment period that I had to go through, but yeah, it's I think a lot more scalable. So I hope that kind of gave a little bit of background, maybe more longer than you had hoped I would spend
No,
talking about
that's
myself.
awesome. And you've been an entrepreneur for a long time, obviously starting with the rock business and getting to land, I guess. What kind of drew you to, so you came from infill lots, what drew you to bigger lots? Was it the scalability factor? What kind of drew you to not necessarily our program, but just land investing on a bigger scale, bigger acreages?
Well, I have like a goal of hitting $100,000 a month as like a medium term goal. And if you look at how many deals you'd have to do with infill lots compared to what you would have to do with larger parcels of land, it's just like obviously you have to do way more infill lots because our average profit per deal on infill lots was around 4,500. So what I have to do like 20 deals in order to get that. And then, compared to larger acreage deals, you might be able to make 15 to 20 grand on a deal. So it's just way more scalable
Yeah.
and mostly scale,
Yeah.
I would say.
So you've been in this 9 months. What does like your projected profit on those 9 months? Obviously, it's hard because you have I know a lot of your deals, so you have a lot of equity right now. But what's kind of your projected profit from deals? Maybe you haven't even acquired yet, but you're finishing up on that. What does that look like 9 months in?
Yeah. So we closed on two deals. They ended up being less profitable than I had hoped. I made 14K on both of those, so seven each, which
Okay.
yeah, not projected, but still happy to like
Yeah.
validate the model, if you will. And then we have, I think, three more that we own. One of which is going to be another small deal, and then the other two is a 10-acre tract that it was originally a 16-acre parcel with the seller's house on it, and we surveyed it off, and I bought it for 12,000. The all-in cost was 18,000, and we just went under contract yesterday actually for 84 or 85,000, which is cool. I had projected a 70K resale price, but I raised this money from an investor, and I was like, you know what? Like, I redid the comps. Let's just try it here, and we'll drop the price in 2 weeks if we have to. So we went under contract yesterday. Maybe I was a little bit underpriced, but oh well. I'm very happy with that. So that's going to be.
I'm going to interrupt you, Matt, there. I don't want to brush that over, guys. So he bought this for, he was under contract for $12,000. All Matt did, he's not flipping a house. All he did was survey it. Literally got a survey, had $6,000 in extra costs in terms of survey and other cost, closing costs. And he's under contract to sell for $84,000. What does your holding fee look like on that, Matt? I know you had investors. Sorry, I cut you off. I know, but buying for $18,000 and selling for $84,000. That's not a typical margin. It's not that abnormal in land flipping, but it's not a typical margin in a lot of businesses. What do your holding fees? Because you said you didn't pay a dime for it, correct?
Correct. I was fully prepared to buy it myself, but I wanted to. I'll dive into that later. But so I raised. It was 17,750. I think is the cost. I'm trying to remember it. Just under 18K is what I borrowed, and I did a 75-25 profit split. So my investor will end up netting around 16,800. So they almost double their money in what is the hold time? Less than 3 weeks. It depends on how quickly title closes, but yeah, can't get that in the stock market.
That investor is probably going to be happy too, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I'd assume.
He wants to buy more deals with me.
exactly when they see that, and then you got to get a little cheaper money for them. But that's
Yeah.
incredible. That's awesome to hear. So you said you had one more small one, and then what's your other? You said you have one more deal that's a bigger one right now.
I have another one. Well, we have one together. It's
Yeah.
9 acres in the same county that um, for this other deal. That one's going to be buy for I think all in 33.5, and we have it listed at 75. We've been getting a lot
Mhm.
of interest, so pretty confident it'll sell at that price. Um, so I think that whatever that margin is.
Okay.
And then we have one more. I actually just raised money on it yesterday. It's buy for 50. All in is going to be 52,000, and our resale is going to be like 175, probably
Is that a profit split?
175,000. Yeah, same profit split, 75, 25.
So like based on what I'm doing, just math wise, 60, 40, 14, 20, and then like 90, something like that. So you're pushing 200 grand in terms of equity, in terms of profit right now from your 9 months or so. Is that correct?
Yeah, something like that. We're also wholesaling another deal in this county, actually. 25
Really
acres. You
cool.
guys reviewed it on the call. Yeah. I couldn't,
Okay.
the numbers aren't totally there for me to flip it because it's on a double plus, which is generally what we're like shooting for. But it's a 25-acre tract. And I spoke with a realtor slash developer in the county, and he's going to split it up into five acre tracts and sell it for around 250. And I'm going under contract with the seller for 125. And I told him like I don't want to buy this deal because like I'd rather just turn the money. And I was like, I'll sell it to you for 150. He's like, okay, that those numbers make sense for me.
Hmm.
So we're not
Yeah.
under contract yet with the seller, but um, we should be next week.
Very nice. So one thing Matt did really well, guys, with our program, with our business model, is kind of he took what we taught, and then he also took what he knew from past experiences with wholesaling, all this stuff, and kind of made his own twist with it. Like he does a ton of the stuff that we teach, marketing, all this stuff, pricing, mail, all this, getting his leads. But he also like you got to make it your own as well, Matt. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think a lot of people try to so black and white follow it, and there are differences. Like it's not completely in our business model doing a survey before buying a property and surveying off. But Matt saw an opportunity in that, and he's going to make, I forget what he's going to make $60,000 on that deal. But can you talk about kind of using your past experiences and combining it with what we teach?
Sure. I feel like at the end of the day, being in real estate is just like solving a problem and like whatever that problem looks like. Like we want to make money as the investor and like we can make money by solving somebody's problem. I feel like with doing a lot of wholesaling, most of wholesaling is like you're dealing with, a house that has some issues. So like how can you get overcome those objections and those issues in order to get the contract to close?
Hmm.
So just like incorporating these marketing strategies, it's no different than any like wholesaling houses or infill lots, whatever. It's all kind of the same, right? Like the objective is to, you know, buy it, solve an issue, and then make money. Um, so yeah, I would say just like trying to creatively solve issues and think outside the box.
Yep. Yeah, and there's so many people like, and I say it all the time, like our business model and the reason why it works so well is because the cash we can get the sellers really, really fast. Like Matt's closing on these deals and getting sellers cash within 2 weeks for their land, 3 weeks for their land. He's being extremely quick, and that's our business model. Is what a lot of people's problem right now in our country and society in general is a lack of like liquid funds. We're turning their land, which is typically a pretty illiquid asset. It's not the easiest thing to sell a piece of land, but we are making it extremely liquid by offering them quick cash offers. So that's kind of the solution we're solving. Then Matt has solved a ton more solutions by subdividing land, by doing these other improvements, whatever it is. What's kind of your goals, Matt, for the next 6, 12 months and beyond? What does that look like? Are you trying to build a team around you or trying to kind of stick to smaller VAs, that kind of stuff? What's your goals though for the next 12 months or so?
That's a good question. I would say like a medium term goal is to generate consistency in deal flow and be hitting like 100,000 a month, which I feel like is pretty feasible given, some of the deals that we're working on now. So just continuing to build that. And this has been like an idea that's been, going around the community a lot is like doing bigger deals. And, I feel like it is like super, like very true, just, continually progressing up and doing bigger deals. So I want to get into subdivides more, figure out a strategy to systematically target land that would, you fit a subdivide exit strategy. And then I would say like a bit longer term, I want to do land entitlements. Most of the, huge deals that I've heard of, people making millions, tens of millions of dollars on deals have been through entitling land and selling them to big development companies. So I would like to do that at some point as well, right? Just like progressively doing bigger deals. But yeah, consistency, 100K
Yeah.
a month, and then, developments. Also,
And that
potentially doing like adding improvements to land and then taking it down and creating some sort of community with like maybe tiny homes or mobile homes to create like a cash flowing asset as well.
hmm Yeah, so Matt's he's proven the business model. Now he's kind of taking it, and I like that. You're not saying more deals, even though you did say consistent deal flow. It's not necessarily more deals to make more money. It's bigger deals to make more money. And Matt's already tackling some really big deals, but there are $500,000 purchases out there that you can subdivide and sell for $2 million. There are those deals out there. It's just finding them. And like Matt's talking about, finding the right way to market and target these specific parcels, because there are things that you need to subdivide in terms of regulations, everything like that. So what do you're saying $100,000 a month? You said medium term. Is that like the next 12 months, next 6 months you're trying to hit that? I think it's very realistic. It just comes down to one, doing bigger deals and you can get 2 deals a month. I think with your mindset, with your profitability, I think you can easily do 2 deals a month for $50,000 a piece. Then you're going to have some months where you make $90,000 on 2 deals. But what do you mean? What's your timetable when you kind of say medium term?
Um, yeah, I would say like within 6 to 12 months, I'd like to be hitting that.
Yeah.
Um, and so like basically my plan is to have these deals close and then reassess what financials look like and then project what the next 6 to 12 months of marketing is then going to look like, because I want to allocate a lot of the money that's coming in towards like reinvesting into marketing.
hmm
Um, and you asked earlier about like what my team looks like, and like where I want it to go. So I currently have one VA on, he's full time and he handles my SMS. So we're doing direct mail, and then I just implemented SMS marketing, which I previously didn't have success with, but I, you know, started using launch control, which it is better for SMS than the previous platforms I was using. Anyway, so I'm going to continue doing like direct mail, and then um, with SMS, I want to continue having my VA, handle that, do lead management, and then I'm going to test out cold calling as well,
Yep.
because like I'm already paying for the data to be skip traced. So I want to hit it. I've used cold calling before, and that's how we were generating deals with infill lots. I want to create kind of like an I think Max Maxwell talked about this at one point in one of his videos. He's a wholesaling guy. It's
hmm
like creating an omnipresence and like a systematic way to hit each record, like hit them with direct mail and then follow up with a text and then follow up with a call and like keep them in the system. So
hmm
just creating a better system around hitting these leads and just like farming certain areas.
So you're kind of doing everything for your business. You without having in the States full-time person, like you're having to make all the lead calls, I would assume, everything like that. Obviously, if you're doing cold calling, it'll probably be a service or something like that. Are you pretty busy with this stuff? You keeping yourself pretty busy?
Yeah, I would say I'm busy. I mean, I still have time to go and play pickleball in the middle of the day sometimes, so not like crazy busy.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I feel like I was busier when I was doing infill lots, which was like last year. I don't feel
Yep.
like I'm insanely busy um, doing this. Like
So are
there's
you
certain
using,
things.
go ahead.
I was just saying there's certain parts of this business that are more time intensive. Like if you're pricing mail, like you want to be like super focused on that. Um,
hmm
and like following up with leads, you want to like stay focused. But I feel like some of the times it's like waiting for stuff to come in and then hitting leads and doing due diligence. Like there's lulls, and you know, I'm not like constantly busy,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
wouldn't
That's
say.
how it is. I think when we didn't have employees and stuff, like it's exactly how it is. And you just gotta not necessarily find things like you're doing kind of during those dead periods. Like okay, let's look for another channel of marketing. Let's try cold calling. Let's add the texting. Let's make the texting more consistent. And I think that's why you're going to grow so much. But going off of there, what kind of advice would you give someone looking into this business model, whether an entrepreneur, they already have a 9 to 5, whatever their situation is? What kind of advice with someone looking into this business model?
Um, I would say watch a lot of the videos that Ron and Dan put out because I think there's a ton of value in that. And then if you commit to doing this business model, I would try and set aside some funds that are essentially like a sunk cost. So commit to sending a certain amount of mail or like a certain amount of marketing, and then just like don't think about the money, um, because you want to have be able to send out like a couple mailers and or text campaigns, whatever it is, and it might take time, and one of the mailers might not be as successful as you'd hoped. So just being consistent with um, getting marketing out. And then I remember when I got my first leads in through this business, I was like super excited. My first mailer was horrible. It was a terrible county to choose, but that's okay. Um, but yeah, I would say just like commit to a certain amount of money, and um, you'll definitely get leads in. You just have to, everyone says this, I think. You just have to be consistent with the business model and, learn, you know,
Yeah,
it'll
for
happen.
sure. I like that advice a lot. Kind of not, you don't forget about the money, but at the same time, like I'm putting $7,000 into this business, whatever it is, like that's going to be 12,000 mailers, whatever it is. And you're going to make things happen. Like if you don't get too stressed about every little dime that's going out, have a set amount, like listen, like Matt said, listening to the videos, listening to education, whatever it is. And then like once your mind's set, like don't dip your toe in here because you're going to lose money. Not 100% of the time because you could run into a deal. But if you dip your toe in, those are the people that, and we have data on this, Matt, like the people who are unsuccessful in this business send 0 mailers or they send 1 mailer. Like you said, your first mailer was a bust. If you didn't send your second, third, fourth, fifth, you would be just doing infill lots right now. You wouldn't have these $80,000, $100,000 profit deals. The people who fail at this business send 0 or 1 mailers. Once you get to that second mailer, there's a very, very, very high success rate. Is that kind of, if they get to their second mailer, Matt, like they learn from their first, they're willing to send a second. Do you believe in that advice?
Yeah, definitely. There's like obvious learning curves when you're doing anything, but like if you just commit to learning something, um, then like you're gonna most likely be successful. I think there's something, I don't know who said this, but it takes like 20 hours to become proficient at something. So
Mm-hmm.
like just like commit the money and commit the time, and then you're
Yep.
probably gonna be successful.
Probably Hormozy. Hormozy's big on that.
Yeah, it
Hormozy's
was it was
always saying
definitely him.
20 real hours, not 20 like I'm picking up my phone every 3 minutes and kind of looking at my phone, like 20 hours where your head's on the screen and you're learning about land, you're learning about X, whatever it is. 20 hours is a long, long time to be people at their job, their 9 to 5 jobs. They probably give, I don't know, 16 hours a week of focused work, maybe of a 40-hour work, maybe 16. That might be pushing it a little bit, to be honest. But 20 hours is a really long time. You can do a lot in that period. Anything else, Matt? Like I think we covered quite a bit. Your story's great. I mean, you came in from real estate. You've been an entrepreneur. I remember our consultation together when I first met you, and like I knew I didn't know if you were gonna take the leap. But once you took it, like I knew you were gonna be successful because how much education you did on the back end, and you knew what you were getting into. It was very clear in that consultation call. But anything else you want to add, anything like that, Matt?
Yes, I would say like the final thing is just like analysis paralysis, right? Like that's a big
Mm,
thing that stops people from in the beginning. Just just choose not to have that. Um, just like commit and don't get too caught up on things. Just like commit to doing something. Um, and if you can hit something with like 75% effectiveness, then like you'll probably also be successful. Something that I was thinking about, or someone proposed this idea to me that when you make a hire, if they are 70% effective, like you might be 100% effective at doing something, but
mhm.
if they're 70% effective, but you can buy back like 40 hours, then it's worth it. So like, for instance, like with pricing mail, for instance, it might be daunting, but just like commit to it. If you can get it like 70% right, like don't spend too much time on it, just try and get it out. Um, yeah, that would be my only other piece of
Yeah.
advice.
Analysis paralysis, definitely something we kind of preach a lot. And the people who are successful, like they have to get over that hurdle. Everyone has it. It's not abnormal for you to feel that way. Like for you to be nervous about sending your first mail or be nervous about choosing a first county, looking at too many counties, looking at all the areas. There's no perfect county in this country. But other than that, Matt, I really appreciate you coming on here. Matt's very active in our Discord channel. If you guys have any questions for him directly, reach out to him in Discord. We do have our free Discord. Other than that, guys, thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.
As always, thank you for joining. Please do us a huge favor and like and subscribe our YouTube channel and share this with a friend. It really means the world to Ron and I, but more importantly, it could help change the life of someone else. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next episode.